Rock the Ripple. Rock the Ripple. The Rock the Ripple podcast with Narita McInnes.
Let's do this. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Rock the Ripple podcast. I'm your host, Narita McInnes. It is so awesome to be here with you as always. And today is another very exciting day because I am joined by the one and only Anna from Vitreya, Tree of Souls.
Hey.
She is an amazing human and she is about to introduce herself. Anna, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Narita. That was a great intro. You just rolls off your tongue.
It just rolled off, didn't I? I was really impressed with myself. I said things right. I'm so excited about that.
I wanted to clap after it. So.
Like, what? The crowd goes wild. Oh.
Thank you for having me. I've just been watching you for a while now, I think, and chatting on and off. And so, like I said earlier, like seeing your face and hearing your voice just sounds so familiar already. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I was saying the same to you as well. Like I was remembering when you were doing your round tables a few years back and I just like, that was so good. That was so good. But before we go into everything, I guess for people who don't know you and don't know much about you, can you give us a bit of a rundown all about Anna? So let's talk about you. I know it's exciting.
God. It's like writing a resume,
Yeah.
and you just have to say all the good things about you.
Yeah. No pressure.
No, that's okay. I'll just see what I come up with. And so Anna from Melbourne, eastern suburbs. I guess, I've had throughout my life big moments, I guess, that led me to here. To be honest with you, if you had known me in 2013, you would be like completely different people. And so I've gone through, the whole thing, drug addiction, busy relationships, survived raising 2 children that have turned out amazing. Yay.
Which you must have had when you were 3, woman, because you look so young.
Actually, that's funny because sometimes when I go to the shops with my son, because he's really tall and big, they don't realize I'm his mother. And sometimes the girls kind of look at me as if like, I'm his mother, like chill, So yeah, it's been, I guess, like same with everyone else, the last, since 2020, it's been a rapid shift for everyone. And those that have been really on, awakening path have just been, it's a daily thing now, there's no denying it. So that's, I guess, I'm one of those people that have been completely activated, turned on the path since 2020. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks to COVID, I've had plenty of time to do that. So
yeah. Which has been the case for so many people, hasn't it? And then not for others, but yeah.
Yeah. I actually just had a chat to my neighbor yesterday and she's had a really, really rough 3 years. Yeah. And, a lot of compassion goes out to everyone that had different challenges during that 3 years because everyone's experiences are so different. I'm like, wow, you live next door to me and I didn't even know. So, yeah.
That's a really good point, actually, because I have noticed that it's been such an expansive year for many. And then for others, it's been like the toughest time of their lives. And it's, I mean, I guess we're all on our path and we're all exactly where we're supposed to be. But yeah, like you said, it's like your next door neighbor. And you don't even realize. Yeah.
Now look at us.
Yeah, look at us.
Out of COVID and we made it.
We made it. Speaking of looking at us, now for the people who are listening, you'll have to, who aren't watching this, you'll have to describe it a bit. But I am loving this altar behind you here. Can you just give us a bit of, look at that. Can you give us a bit of a rundown on that?
Yes. So, being a cacao carrier, obviously, we try and create a cacao altar. So I've got my cacao pod here amongst all my crystals. And really, they're just things that really mean something to me.
Yeah.
And things that I've connected with. And even, sometimes every now and then I will look at some of the crystals that are on there and I'm like, wow, I've outgrown you. So I'll remove that. Sometimes I'll come in and light a candle or an incense. I've got some paintings on there that were specifically created for me by a friend.
Oh, wow.
So one turns out she didn't even know she was just doing the artwork and it actually looks like a pregnant woman. which is, I thought, beautiful because cacao is very feminine. It's about birthing
Mm.
the new. And yeah, so, and I like the blue because I think a lot of people can relate to the color blue
Yeah, I
in terms
definitely.
of healing. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks,
Yeah.
Narita. Look at my babies.
Oh, that's so good. Looks so good. All right, come back. So speaking of like all the stuff that you do, one of the things that you do that I really don't know much about and would love to know more about is the Palawa. Is that how you say it?
Palawa.
Palawa. Thank you.
Yeah.
See? Lucky you're here. Can you talk to me about that? Because I would love to know more. It's not something that you hear all the time, is it?
Do you know what? I didn't know you were going to ask me that, but I was hoping that you would because,
Oh,
yeah, not many people know about it.
yeah.
Can I give you, please, a backstory of what happened with Palawa and I?
Oh, please do. This will be awesome. Thank you.
So one day, like my partner is actually a Palawa 3 practitioner. He's never talked about it. I've never cared. And one day I was reading a book and I'm like, I need a Palawa session. You know, you get moments when the spirit almost shakes you and say, hey, pay attention. And it
Mm,
was so profound, like, oh my God, I need Palawa session like right now.
mm,
So I messaged my partner. I said, I need a Palawa healing. And he said, oh, Baba, I haven't done it in a while. And I was so impatient about it. I made him do it the next night.
yeah.
And so I was just open to receiving it. I mean, people have heard of Reiki. It's one of the main healing modalities that people know out there. So the next night I had Palawa healing and I loved it. I was getting such beautiful experience physically, visually, emotionally. And then I think it was about a week later, again, I was like shaken by saying, you need to do the Palawa course. So I got my partner to teach me Palawa 1 and 2 because as a Palawa 3 practitioner, he can do that. So a girlfriend and I did that with him. And then I said, I need to do Palawa 3. It was just like this really loud, like the urgency was ridiculous,
Wow.
right? You need to do Palawa 3. And, my partner Johnny just goes, Kachina, who's the founder of Palawa, only comes to Melbourne once a year to teach it. Anyway, long story short, a month later, she's in Melbourne, so I'm booked in. And and then I just knew that I had to share the Palawa energy to everyone, that I didn't know anything about it, but yeah, I felt it in my whole body. It was just vibrating. You need to share it with everyone. Just share it. So I did Palawa 3 with the intention of teaching it. And I got a little bit impatient because I'm like, oh my God, I'm really like slacking off. It's been ages. I still haven't done it. And it was actually only 2.5 months after doing Palawa 3 that I ran my first workshop.
Wow.
And yeah, and it was amazing. I had no idea how I was going to do it. And then everything was just like bang, 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 fell into place. Had the most beautiful women come and do it that really felt connected to the Palawa energy. So just a bit of a backtrack. Palawa is an angelic word meaning rapid shift in consciousness. So Kachina Ma'an, I guess, created it, channeled it, downloaded it. And it used to be only used for Reiki masters. And then it has evolved since then. And now it's available to people who, you don't need to be a Reiki master.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the beauty of it, as opposed to other healing modalities, is there's no diagnosis, there's no translating. You're completely just trusting the divine flow of the energy and whatever the person is receiving, their own translation. We actually don't try and translate anything, any visuals, any feelings that come up. Just let the energy do its work. And so I went through a phase after doing Palawa 3. I was just doing Palawa sessions all the time. And all the other healing modalities that I was doing kind of just went out the window.
Wow.
And I actually thought maybe it was the end of my cacao holding for people because it was all about Palawa. But it was just my mind saying, just clear it. You don't need to know. It will transform again when it needs to. And so now it's basically, if people book sessions, I get them to choose, which they will always say, I'll leave it up to you. And what I find now is, if someone books a session, they say, I'll leave it up to you. If I find myself suddenly making cacao, it's because they need cacao. Yeah. So, yeah. But Palawa is a beautiful modality because it's complete trust. And seriously, the changes have been amazing for people. Wow. So, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So they would just come to you one-on-one and they'd lie down on the bed like you would, I guess, Reiki or
Yeah.
anything like that. And then
Yeah.
you just work through them. And it's not hands-on, or is it hands-on? Like,
Absolutely no hands-on.
yeah.
In fact, you're not allowed to touch the person. And even the modality, because it's not about like pulling out AIs or clearing entities or anything like that.
Yeah.
And in fact, if there was something that needed to be done, let's say in your heart space, you spirit or the Palawa energy will actually push you as far away from the heart space to do the work. So it's almost like, because usually like, hey, Nerida, you've got a blocked heart chakra, and I'll come right over your chest and put my hands on it. And of course, you're just going to like completely like block it, right? It's like, oh, but there's no thought process to the healing. And, 45 minutes to an hour just goes so fast. You work through the meridians, you clear the blocks, and it just does its own thing. And in fact, the practitioner, any visuals that we get, any messages, we can't share with them because it's not for them, it's for you. Don't muddle their experience by saying, hey, I actually saw an apple when I was doing your heart chakra, and now all of a sudden you're stuck there. You've created a story and you're no longer working with the energy.
Yes.
So, yeah. But a lot of healing modalities will, it'll be about clearing entities, bringing up past life stuff. There's a lot of stories to it, and it serves its purpose too, by the way. That's not disregarding that. But, yeah, with Palawa, it's just really all about trusting and just let that energy work.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I think when people do come to a healing, it's good for them to know that, because some people do like to talk about what's happening.
Oh, yeah.
And like, do you find that still too? Anyway, are you getting any messages?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like, truth be told, it was one of the things that I'm like, fuck do you mean I can't talk about it?
I'm getting all these downloads, man. I want to share it. Yeah, I can imagine.
Bad. And so what I usually do now is I just write things down, and on Nerida, 19th of July, blah, blah, I'll write things down, because the thing is, if that's a Palawa technique, you kind of have to respect and honor that.
Yes.
And as time evolves, because Palawa's only been around since 2002 or 3. So just like any healing modalities, it grows in its consciousness, it evolves in its techniques and stuff like that. And Kachina's always updating the techniques and changes to it as she receives the downloads. But yeah, you're right. Like, you definitely want to talk about things. But now it's really good because I've applied that theory in my life too. It's just like, wait, do we really need to talk about that? Like, it's simplified everything.
Yeah, that's
which was hard at the start.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Well, because it's good. We do like to express as well. So it would be that sort of I guess it's that finding that balance then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that it makes you feel as well, so out of the head, drop into the heart space and feel, rather than analyzing and making it into something that it's not. That was a fun experience for me, because I'm like, wow, I'm so not good at this yet, but I'm going to get good.
That's freaking awesome, because that's what the time that we're in now, isn't it? It's coming back into our heart. We've all been, so many of us have been so in our head. And so, I mean, what a gift to be able to bring that in, Do you know what?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And in fact, when I was doing Palawa, I noticed a lot of spiritual people that I was seeing on Facebook, like they were talking about, like not really analyzing things anymore and going back into feeling. And so it was really in alignment with what I was going through at that time. So I'm guessing, actually, I wonder if many people out there with their healing modalities had a shift in it. Like you can't really predict futures anymore and that kind of stuff.
You can't, can you?
Yeah.
That's a really good point, actually. It's you talking about it just makes me, I think there'll be a lot of people who are listening to this right now be like, I've got to get myself a session doing this right now. Like, I want to drop more into my heart. But yeah, because that's a time we're tapping into following our intuition more, feeling more, because everything comes from the heart first. It goes to the brain, like it's,
Well, I guess too, the patriarchal system was always about in the head, and I've got a girlfriend of mine who will, like, she was away in Greece, and she's like, I've only got 8 days left and I'm going to be back in Melbourne. So she forced herself mentally and physically to be Melbourne energy again. And I said, like, you know, that the mind is very patriarchal, whether the heart is very matriarchal. So it's like cultivating that love energy before you can look. I guess they work in tandem too, right?
Yeah,
Like you
yeah,
think a banana, it's like, oh, I love a banana, and
yeah.
you know, you manifest that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh, that's so cool. I feel like, oh, there's so many things I want to chat to you about. Okay, so what are you working on right now? What are you feeling right now? We should use that word, feeling, because that's what we're talking about.
Oh, yes. um, oh, I'm going to try and sorry, I can't get into the details, but just in
Yeah.
terms of plant medicine. So, you know, I think it was in 2020, the same thing. I just had this urge, like, I need to connect with plant medicine, and same urgency. And I called Alicia and I said, I need to do plant medicine. I'm going to be an ayahuasca holder and blah, blah, blah. And I looked up a course. It was like $4,500 to do a cacao holder course. I'm like, wow, didn't know spiritual world was so expensive.
Yeah.
And Alicia was actually the one that said, just hold off. I feel like the right one will come along. And then she met someone who still to this day is my cacao mentor, and Murphy from IO Cacao. She basically held ceremonies everywhere, and it was the most beautiful connection in terms of she wouldn't have just handed me or shared with me her wisdom and knowledge about cacao. Like, you know, it was an honor. Like for her, it felt like, you know what, I trust this person. I'm going to share with her what I know.
Yeah.
So she did that, and you know, and I stayed there, and I thought maybe this is all I need to do is connect with cacao, share it with people. I share that in the sister circle. I talk cacao all day, every day. So that was like 3 years of cacao, connecting with her. And then it's evolved again recently through an experience that I've had. And so I've just been like, social media is just off to me. All I'm doing is watching videos, reading up about this. And I feel like it really is the next progression for me. And I love how, you know, a higher self, spirit, whatever you want to call it, they know what to do to prepare you for the next one. It's like there's no way someone could just be an ayahuasca holder, you know, from nothing to that. And there's so much heart preparation. Like I've purged my heart in the last 3 years. And I've been able to do that with cacao, you know. So yeah, I'm excited for this next phase. I don't know really what it looks like yet, and don't need to know. It'll just manifest when it's meant to.
Yeah, I love that, because you're so in flow, and you're someone who clearly trusts the guidance that you're getting, and you can get out of your own way and go, oh, this is where I'm going now. But you're also being very strongly pulled and called, which is undeniable as well, isn't it?
Yeah. And there's actually been like single mother raising 2 children, right? And I worked in the corporate world. So I was always like, I'm going to get this done, A, B, C, D, and blah, blah, blah. And the shift, seriously, it's just like, you know what? I'm going to get a date. It'll get shown to me of when that's going to be ready. And then I wait for that. I never do anything unless it comes to me. Don't go looking for it. And it's such a beautiful way to live. Like, you know, all those fear-based things. Like I recently shared a story that said, I don't have my ducks in a row. In fact, I think one of them's a pigeon.
I didn't see that. That's awesome.
Because I think a lot of, like, don't get me wrong, of course there's planning involved, right? But that needs to come from being inspired, rather than saying, oh, I might not have enough people come, or, you know, it's all fear-based protection, I guess. Yeah. Rather than
go, sorry.
I was just going to say, rather than free flow creation.
Yeah. And that's not saying that you're not taking action, because you're still taking action. You're not just sitting there like waiting for a sign for like 4 weeks. You know what I mean? I think that's like, you're taking aligned action, and you're just like in the flow of which is freaking brilliant.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Yeah. Far out. I'm excited for you for what's to come. So don't know what it looks like. We don't, and that's the beauty of it. Like, I mean, I love to plan, but I also am very open to what is to come in as well, and to trust, like when you get signs coming in that, oh, okay, maybe, you know, like maybe as simple as you were held up at the lights one day in your car, and you arrive 5 minutes later and you connect with someone that you wouldn't have if you know, got that green light. You know what I mean? Just even those sort of like simple things. But yeah, I think when you have that pull on the heartstrings, when you just have that, you just know, don't you? You can't explain it. You can't explain the knowing, but you just know that that's the way you're supposed to be going.
It's so in the Sister Circle chat, we've been talking a lot about muscle testing lately.
Yeah.
So you know about muscle testing?
Yeah.
So it was actually Alicia that brought it to my attention years ago, and I started muscle testing, and I did it because I wanted to know if my intuition was right.
Yeah.
So because people always say, how do you know it's an intuition, right? And it changes all the time. For me, it's like I'll be meditating and I'll see a tree. I was like, I know where that tree is. I have to go there today. And following that intuition. But people say, oh, it's raining, you can't go there. I'm like, yeah, of course I fucking can. What's rain going to do? Stop me from going? And, you know, I think we need to go back to that as well. Just like, oh, I don't know why this is telling me to do that, but I'm going to do it. And it's so much fun.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you think like, oh, I totally got it wrong, but that was funny.
Yeah.
Or I totally got it right and I feel so elated and inspired right now.
Yeah. It's so funny you said that, because last night or yesterday afternoon I went for a walk and I thought, I'm going to go to this place. I don't know why I'm going there. And I drove, parked the car, got out, walked through, went in there. They're about to shut. And I'm just like, oh, I'm just looking around, walk back out. I don't know why I went there. I still don't know. Yeah. And maybe I don't know if there is. I just trusted my guidance, and maybe something will come up from it, but maybe not. Maybe it's just a bit funny, like you said.
Well, the thing is, right, sometimes we go to places or talk to people and something did happen, but we just don't know what it was.
Yes. Like our energy was needed there at that time, or that person's energy was needed for me. Yeah,
100%. 100%. Yeah. I had a call to go to a Buddhist temple the other day with a girlfriend. And I said, look, I don't know why we're going there. Maybe we're going to come out with angel wings, or maybe we'll go there and we picked up nothing, you know, except get some yummy food. And and it was a nothing kind of day. But like you said, you know, maybe your energy was just needed there. Maybe it activated something that you're not going to understand until, you know, a year later. So,
Oh, that rings.
Have fun with it, though. Yeah.
Just play with it. And be spontaneous as well, you know. That's all right. So my nose is running, everybody. Excellent.
Same here, because it's freezing cold.
It's cold because I had to turn the bloody heater off so that you don't have that sound.
Oh, okay.
So I'm just like, actually, it probably wouldn't even be that bad. But anyway, I've got my heat bag on my lap, because it'd be bloody cold where you are too in Melbourne, I'm sure.
Oh, dude, it's been so icy cold, like completely icy cold. It's not too bad this morning. The last 2 nights. I think Melbourne takes the cake of being cold out of all states. So
yeah, you guys are definitely bloody cold. It's definitely beanie weather in Melbourne.
Do you know what? I cannot. I went through a phase a couple of weeks ago where I had to have a beanie all the time. And I actually think maybe energetically I needed to cover my head.
Yeah.
Because now I'm like, nothing goes on my head except this beautiful bun.
Yes, I love your bun. I'll say it off air. It's bloody awesome. Oh, that's so interesting though, because I was in Melbourne recently. I've been there for a bit this year, and I didn't have a beanie, but then I came back to Adelaide. I'm like, I need a beanie, and but now I've only worn it a couple of days, and now I'm like, I don't really need my beanie anymore. But
well, I do think sometimes it's needed for energetic purposes, you know.
Yeah,
I think
So so do you think that's keeping yourself protected, or is it keeping up? What do you think it is around that?
I think it is to keep yourself protected. I don't know about anyone else that would be listening to this from Melbourne, but there's been so much, like, we're going to call it AI projection of dark thoughts.
Yes.
There was like 2 weeks, and, you know, so you're always checking with other friends and group chats and say, hey, is anyone else experiencing this? And the infiltration station has been pretty bad, and even I got really tired. I'm like, I just don't give a fuck anymore. Don't care. Give up. This was only a couple of weeks ago. And then it was in, so I think that's why, you know, people feel guided to wear something on their head. Because I'm not a beanie person.
No, neither am I.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? That's very interesting. because I mean, and that's the thing, because frequency is very powerful, and those kind of things can happen whether people are aware of them or not.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, and what would you do in those scenarios? Like for me, if I started to notice these thoughts, I might say, is this mine? Is this mine? Is this thought mine? What would you suggest for people being an energy worker?
Well, I think the muscle testing, which I know some of the sisters have been sharing that and just testing whether it's yours or not. Beautiful friend of mine, Chloe, we had a great discussion about it the other day. So everyone has different techniques, right? So there's a muscle testing thing that you do, whereas I just go into full body awareness.
Yeah.
And if it's not a resonance, it will drop off.
Yeah.
But look, I guess, if you practice being aware all the time, you can sort of feel it straight away, because if it's not yours, you might just get really catty and grumpy straight away. You might just get really tired, that piercing headache that, comes out of the blue. A group of us went somewhere a couple of weeks ago, and we felt there was a lot of energy attacks there, and you could feel it. Like you walk away from the place and you feel good. It's like, oh my God, I'm not tired. And then you walk back in there again. It's like, boom. Yeah. So what would you do is like, find your technique that works for you in terms of discerning, whether it's muscle testing, dropping into your heart space, doing a few breaths there. I find saying out loud now, like it's no longer in the head. I just constantly walk around talking to myself out loud.
It's normal, I'm sure.
Yeah. So talking it out loud, saying, are these thoughts mine?
Yeah.
All the things that you normally do, but saying it out loud. And truth be told, there are some days where you get really tired. They get you. And if you're tired and can't clear it yourself, call someone else that you trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the muscle testing as well, because I bet you there's people who's going to be listening. Like, how do I do it? What do I do? What is it as simple as like, how do you do your muscle testing?
The one that I was using was standing your feet hip width apart, knees slightly bent, taking 3 deep breaths into your body, and then asking simple questions first, like, am I Anna Harper?
Yeah.
And then, forward. It's like pendulum, I guess. Finding your rhythm. If forward is yes for you, then that's yes. Backwards you might just automatically lean back, and that's a no. And then there's a finger one that I just thought, you know what? No.
Yeah, I've got friends who do the finger one. Always, I'll either do the leaning back and forward one, or or even I'll get the pendulum. Like you can use that as well.
You do pendulum?
Oh, just for fun, just me. Like, I'll grab it out and just sort of see what happens, and do the test as well. Like, is my generator? Yes, it is. But like, phew, I'm still me. But you can do it as well with the muscle testing, like with food. Like you can grab yourself a banana and then just like see if that's good for you or not in that moment. Which is it's a good way to test your intuition, isn't it?
It is. And look, I wish I could do the pendulum. My daughter is probably better at pendulum. My partner's better at pendulum. I look at this thing and I'm just like, I don't know what you're saying. In fact, it confuses me, right? But in terms of like muscle testing and stuff like that, so I have cacao every night, and I talk about this to anyone that will listen, right? Like, do something different daily. Have your coffee at a different part of the house. Put your shoes on before you before you brush your teeth. Like, something that changes daily.
Yeah.
And in terms of like, like you said with the food, so you might be in the habit of having a banana for breakfast every day, but our bodies are constantly changing. So yes, you might want to muscle test and say, oh, do I need banana for breakfast? But also too, to change it and start, like we're talking about intuition, right? So now I will actually try and change things as much as possible. Like this morning, instead of having 2 cups of coffee, I didn't. Because that's listening to intuition rather than just being programmed. Because one of the things that I'm like constantly aware about is being programmed.
Yeah.
And we're so good at programming ourselves. We do the same thing all the time. And it's fun anyway, right? Like I tried to get ready the other day, and I tried to get dressed before brushing my teeth. And I ended up sitting on my bedroom floor for 45 minutes. I couldn't move. I'm like, wow, this is how bad my programming is. I have to brush my teeth before I can get dressed. And I had a bit of a laugh about that, because just being aware of where you're so rigidly not changing, and we're energy. So we're meant to change all the time.
Yeah, that's so true,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Just mixing it up, like going to wherever I went yesterday and whatever that was, like,
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe you do feel like a orange juice for lunch instead of a giant block of chocolate. Look, let's be honest, we're not having chocolate. Well, are we? We probably are having chocolate.
We can.
We can. You can do whatever the frick you want.
You can do it. Yeah. 100%. I never stick to, breakfast food, blah, 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 or dinner. Just do what feels right at that time.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I think that's what we've got to step into more and more and more and more. And the more that we do that, the more things flow, don't they? And then you notice when they don't, and then it's easier to shift and pivot.
Yeah. Pivot. I like that one. I have a thing for words.
Tell me more.
Like, I'm going to sit with pivot now.
You like every day you'll be saying, I'm just going to pivot. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, oh, don't like that one. Pivot.
Yeah.
it's like being a netballer again.
Yeah.
I have a thing for words. So I will sit there and mull it over in my head over and over again. And I shared it the other day with the girls, and I said, which one feels good in your body? Limitless or unlimited? And and I just like the fact that you're thinking, about the words that you're saying, either out loud or in your head. And same thing with, we see the posts all the time about being a divine being, but we don't actually know what it feels like in our body. So it's like, hey, I'm going to see, what does divine even mean? And by the way, some of the words that you look up the definition for, I find that they don't actually match what it feels like in my body.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it leads to another question of, have we been programmed to think that that word means this, when in fact it doesn't? So these are just the weird and wonderful things I get on with my day.
I love that you do that, because they're I do those sort of things as well too. And I actually heard a guy on a reel the other day talking about the word begin, which is broken down to begin. And I was like, never put those ones together. I mean, there's other wording as well, like obviously programming and like we know those kind of ones. But just looking at the different possible meaning. But of course, then if everything has maybe a different meaning, and I mean, I like how you're saying, how does it make you feel in your body? I mean, that's where you can bring it to, because so many words do have different meanings, don't they? And then so if it feels right for you in your body, awesome.
Yeah.
If it's something that isn't quite right, you might need to pivot with that one.
I'm really leaning into the word pivot. I'm going to look up the definition and compare it to how it makes me feel.
Yeah, I want to hear about this, please.
Should we Google it now?
Yeah, Google it.
So, you would have heard this as well, Nerita, where they say, your words speaking, spelling, basically, right? Yeah. And so there's so many reasons why you begin to be more aware of the energy of the words that you're saying. One, it keeps you aware.
Yeah.
You're just aware. You're not just being robotic. And also it teaches your body to start feeling again. Like we're thinking, but it's like, oh, you know what? Actually, for a while there, I liked the word unlimited in my body. Yeah. And then I realized, like, oh, unlimited actually feels masculine. It's like a very get out of my way, I'm going to do things. And then eventually I leaned into limitless because it was more flowy and expansive. And do you know what I mean? So just becoming aware of it. Yeah.
Totally. And it's so awesome that you've picked that word, because I have that word unlimited. And but now that you've the way you've said that with limitless, because at first I was like unlimited. But then, that's interesting, isn't it? Because limitless, it does have that flow.
Yeah.
But it may not for someone else.
100%. Yeah. Like, maybe at that time of the month, you might need the word unlimited, and that really resonates with you. But like I said, it's just another game that you can do to be aware. And I heard someone say the other day, the word release, actually means that you're releasing. So like you're leasing a house. So you're not actually letting it go, you're just releasing it. back to you again. So it's like use the word let go instead of release.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the same as the word research. So you're always searching.
Oh, see, there's so many things to that.
Isn't it?
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
Research.
it's crazy, isn't it? Yeah. I had a thought before. It went away. But
Come back.
It'll come back if it's supposed to. I'll research that. It'll come back in. Oh, but the power of words as well. Like, that's what I was going to say, because you've mentioned this a few times, and I'm so with you. I resonate with this so much. It's awareness. It's when we're aware of, not just our thoughts, because they're so freaking powerful, but just everything. The more we're aware of how we're showing up and who we're being and all that sort of stuff, that in itself is, I think, one of the most empowering things. Would you say that?
100%. I don't know what just happened. I just got completely white.
That's what happened to me just before.
Whoa.
I got goosebumps when you said that.
Yeah. Okay.
What's going on? Has that happened to you this week? It's happened to me a few times this week. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, and the same thing happened to the guy talking like 3 times in a row. He's like, it's just gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
It's gone.
It's like a wipe.
And I could feel it coming, right? And as you're talking, I'm like, no, I've got it. And then boom, gone.
Yeah. What the hell?
I don't know. I find sometimes, like when I would go to sharing information with someone and I'm not supposed to, it gets pulled out of my head. So I guess, just like anything else, it's good and bad in that. Or sometimes does it get pulled out of your head because you're getting interference? Yeah.
When you're touching on something. We were talking about awareness.
Awareness. What did you say about awareness?
Everyone's listening. Wait, look, guys. What I was saying was how empowering it is to be aware, like that. When we're aware, like not to the extreme where you're just so aware you're not living your life, it's just, you know what I mean? But like self-aware, when we're aware of our thoughts, when we're aware of how we're showing up in the world, who we're being, where we're heading, and like when we're aware of the calling and the intuition that we're getting, like all of that, I feel like is one of the most empowering things.
Yeah, I totally agree. And for those that do meditate, do you meditate?
Yeah, I do, but I had to fall off the bandwagon a little bit there for a little while. So yeah, but again, it's part of a routine, but I've kind of mixed it up and been doing it a bit differently. So yeah, but now I feel like I'm getting it back into a routine again.
Yeah, because I've been a morning meditator every day for years and years, right? And I went through a patch where I'm like, I was a week I didn't meditate, which is like not usual for me.
Yeah.
And then I realized I needed to swap it for a nighttime meditation.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that too. And so going back to awareness, like if you're meditating and stuff like that, there's a big difference when you're in meditation and you can practice the awareness, like either being full-bodied awareness or aware of the thoughts but not attaching to them. And then there's the difference to when you're awake in your life, walking around, working, doing the human stuff and being aware of that. Because you get really good at being aware in meditation, but then to practice that when you're awake. And I think it's safe to say everyone's really been challenged in the last couple of years and having to practice awareness. And so much emotions came up, so many challenges in terms of relationships and friendships, and how you were going to respond to the conflicts that had transpired over the last years. Really taught me how to be even more aware. Because the rage that came up, the betrayal and the confusion and the fear, and it would have been in the past where I probably would just drank that away and partied it not to feel it. But there's no more drinking and partying anymore these days, so you get taught to like that interaction that you have with a friend that doesn't have the same belief as you, and sitting in awareness of being angry. But in saying that too, you can be completely aware and still express.
Yes.
Which I went for a while there where I was being aware but suppressing. Yeah.
Yeah. You got to let that shit out, don't you?
You really do. And, your strengths are your weakness, and your weakness is your strength. So if you get really good at feeling things and, as a strength, people can turn that into a weakness and suppressing. So you got to make sure that you turn that strength. You turn that into a strength and express it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, I agree 100%, because we are going to have those emotions, and we are going to have those feelings will be valid, and they need to be honored and looked at. And you're right, like anything that's suppressed isn't great for us. And so whether the anger is, comes in from someone, and it spurs it within us, and like they actually really are just being a pain in the ass. It's bringing up something for us to look at. Like that's when we're aware of who we are, our self-awareness, and we're being discerning with ourselves as well. Like I think that's really important too, because we can't look at ourselves with rose-colored glasses. Like, it's the same with the world. Like, I mean, I used to have very thick, bloody ones back in the day. I thought everyone was, you can take them at face value, but no, that doesn't turn out that way. But, but you have to be able to do that with yourself and be able to look at yourself and go, okay, well, actually, how am I showing up here? Is this anger, really valid? Or what can I do with this? Do you talk to that as well?
Yeah, 100%. I don't know why I want to say this now, but it's I had this issue a couple of months ago, right? And I was talking to a friend, and he actually said, like, because I took it on what that person was saying. I took it on. It's like, oh, it must be me. It must be me. I must practice forgiveness. I must do this. I must do that. You start reflecting, and there is a bit of an addiction to healing as well, right?
Yeah.
Where something goes wrong and you automatically think, oh, I need to heal this about myself, right? And it was actually, my friend said, well, hang on a sec, mate. Like, have you checked in with yourself if you did do that? And I said, yes, I did, but I didn't do that. And I don't understand how blah, blah, blah. And he's like, well, it's not always because you've done it. So basically, the story is, if you work so hard on healing something about yourself, let's say betrayal, and you've just experienced betrayal in every level, shades, colors, all your life, and it's something that you've kind of applied self-mastery to. So like what he was trying to tell me is that because you've healed that part of yourself, you're going to come across people that, you're going to have to shine loyalty to, right? And it's not necessarily because you're broken or that you need more healing on that. It just means that you start embodying and standing up for that loyalty that you truly believe in, and you walk your truth in that sense. And then not long after that, I saw a post on Facebook, and it said something about, Jesus didn't attract a lot of sick people that needed healing because he was sick himself. He was always surrounded. He said, in fact, Jesus, you'd rarely see him sitting with the royalties and the rich. He was always amongst the people who needed the healing. And it wasn't because he's sick, because people say, oh, you attract what you are. I'm like, so that put a different spin for me. I'm like, but wait, do we attract what we are? Like, if you've got 5 friends who are going through, I don't know, divorce, does that mean because you left your husband? I don't know if you've ever been married, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah. Because everyone else is getting divorced. Should I be totally. No, I'm really, that's exactly true, because you're needed where you're needed. And that's why you need to be really discerning with yourself, because you don't want to just go, oh, there's something there for me to heal, because it might not be that at all. You're actually there as the teacher for the student that needs you at that time, or to shine your light, or to show, like what you were saying, what loyalty is. And then that person will either take or leave it. And if the frequency that you are doesn't resonate for them, then they'll either go, or they'll stick around, and they'll have to rise to meet you, or I mean, there's so many things around that, isn't it? And that which is why the awareness thing is so key, because it's not always us. And that's why I always say to people, like, now it's gone for me.
Quick pivot.
One moment, please. Let's No, but what I say, because like you do resonate, you have frequency. I'm just going to let it just flow however it comes out.
Go.
But the thing is, you do have to be aware. Why is this happening? people listening. It's all right. We're nuts. We're nuts.
We're
That's
talking
why.
about awareness, but
We're talking about
forgetting
awareness
what
and
we're being aware
frequency.
about.
Yeah, and Anna and I are clearly nuts, so which clearly shows that you do resonate on a frequency with people, don't you? You would have to agree with that.
Yeah, for sure.
But there are times when you are needed in different places to shine your light, which, yeah, like exactly what you just said before. That is so true. But yeah, you just being aware of whether it's whether you that's when you can be really honest with yourself and go, actually, maybe I am needed here for this, or maybe I need to step away from this. I don't need to be in this scenario anymore. So
yeah,
I think I went a bit off, but yeah, I think you're with me. Hopefully.
no, I totally get that. And
Yeah.
you know, and another theme that's been going around for me, and again, I share with everyone that wants to listen.
I'm listening, baby.
because I've been sitting on this for a while now, right? Like darkness is just the absence of light, right? We've all heard that. But if you expand on that even more, like betrayal is just the absence of loyalty. So people say, how do I shine my light? You know, it's like, well, what are you doing? And like, oh, I've got a boyfriend that cheats on me all the time. Well, that's betrayal. So there's the absence of loyalty. How can you cultivate loyalty in your body? And, you know, anger is just the absence of peace. How can you cultivate peace? And you shine your light like that. It's just really narrowing it down a bit more rather than saying, oh, just shine your light as if you're, you know, a light switch. But if we can evoke an emotion in our body and amplify that, and, you know, listen to a friend who's angry, but yet amplify your energy of peace. You know, that's how at that time that you can shine your light. And same with anything else. Again, I've got a thing with words. You give me a word, I'll try and find a divine version of that word. And, you know, yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I love that so much. And that is it. Also, you, I'm sure, are a brilliant space holder. So when people come in and they do need to share with you, you will resonate at the frequency they need. So if they're in fear, you will be in love. Like, because that's the opposite, obviously. So though, I mean, yeah. And then you cultivate that in your body, exactly like you said. Like if you want more, if you don't want betrayal, well, then put into your essence and what it is that you do want to
100%.
experience. Yeah.
Because
we're the creator beings. We're the ones who can create. And so being aware of that again, you know. Gosh, awareness is just coming in everywhere, is it?
It's everywhere.
That is the name of the day.
It really is a key to everything. Like if you talk about space holding, either in one-on-one sessions or in the sister circle, and it's really uncomfortable at the start. I know when sister circle started, if someone's sharing and they're crying, you can't touch them, you can't hug them. And because one, that person is being completely seen in their most raw and beautiful versions of themselves, right? The minute we hug them, we interrupt their energy.
Yes.
And also, we kind of want to hug them because we're so uncomfortable, you know? It's like, oh, let's just end this right now. And I love you. You did such a good job, and end it. But then there's also like times when someone is like, just going back to space holding, someone might be sharing the most horrific story of their experience, and all of a sudden we're sitting there and we've got all sorts of emotions coming up, like anger and injustice and revenge, and you know, in your head you're thinking back to all the times that story is relatable to your experience as well. And that is definitely not space holding, because what you're actually doing is you're amplifying their injustice and their pain and their betrayal. And I've said this before, like in Melbourne during COVID, everyone felt sorry for Melburnians, right? They're like, oh my God, I feel so sorry for you guys. You know, you've got the worst, and we did. And but it's like, stop feeling sorry for us. You know, send us strength, send us courage, send us whatever, not pity.
Yeah.
No,
and no one wants. I mean, there are people who do. They thrive off of the pity. Actually, I've been listening to a podcast recently as well, just around the victim, perpetrator, and survivor. Savior, and it's that kind of thing, you know. And and it's interesting because when you're listening to those sort of things, it gets you thinking about the dynamics in your own life, and you can see where you've
100%.
been, all of the things, because we all have. There's no one who hasn't. And yeah, it just gets you reflecting on that. And you're right, like with the whole thing in Melbourne, like, don't pity, like, give us strength. And like in your sister circles, you do, like, that's so key. And I think I'm really glad you brought that up, because I think a lot of people do feel like, oh, quick, someone's crying, I better make it okay. But actually, you need to let that person express their feelings and their energy and allow it out. And exactly what you said, they're being seen and heard. And that's probably all that they need and have been craving for maybe many, many years. And just having that moment, and being seen in that moment will allow them to just have a weight lifted off their shoulders like never before. I guess you would experience that a lot in your circles as well.
Yeah. And it's such an honor when people, because let's face it, right? Like, it's not a comfortable thing to talk about your most horrific experiences. And, but it's such an honor. So, but the thing is, you can only give what you are, right? Yeah. And if you're so uncomfortable with someone crying, if you're so uncomfortable with vulnerability, you can't give that.
No.
But it's a beautiful mirror effect where it's like, I need to work on my vulnerability. Why does that upset me, seeing a woman cry?
Yes.
Why does it make me so uncomfortable? And I don't know where I was going with that.
Well,
awareness.
That's definitely the title of this episode, I think. Awareness. Something around that. But yeah, you have to feel comfortable in yourself to be able to do that and to hold space for people in that situation. And if you are feeling like it is taking you down that road of thinking about your own stuff and bringing up stuff for you, you're charging it for that person, but you're also seeing what's there for you. So then that can be, if you can be aware of that, then you can work on that for you. But yeah, I feel like you've got something now. Come back.
No, I was just thinking about the energy of co-creation. Because there's creation, there's you, but then in order for you to kind of manifest that here in the reality, you need someone to co-create it with. So like I said, if someone was experiencing injustice and betrayal, are you co-creating that with them, or are you going to sit in loyalty and love and unconditional love? By the way, like, it's so underrated. Like, everyone needs to talk more about it and actually start feeling that in their bodies.
Love that. Yes.
Yeah, I've had to really sit in unconditional love, and there's been some days I'm like, frustrates me, because we know this, we read it, but when you call forth your remembrance of, like, if you are unconditional love, if you are divine love. And I know Donovan would love that, because he's always using divine love and divine being. And legend. But he knows what divine being and divine love feels like. And out of anyone I've ever met, Donovan truly practices unconditional love. Sometimes absolutely. To a point where I just say, dude, you've lost your mind. But we need to all start teaching our bodies, what does actually divine love or unconditional love feel like? And I've been balls deep in that in the last 12 months. And I'm like, God damn it, here we go again. But, you go with it because, your higher self or spirit or the world needs you to be there to sit in that unconditional love. And people tend to, when they're in conflict or when they're in hardship about something, you immediately feel like or think that you're disconnected from unconditional love. But yet there's so much beauty in alchemizing pain and conflict and, sorrow while you're holding it, with unconditional love. And it makes a huge difference. So taking it one step at a time, teaching your body again what it feels like, what unconditional love is, like really feeling it.
Yeah, totally. That's so beautiful, because, just you saying that, and unconditional love for yourself in those moments. So you're holding space for yourself while you go through these things. That's
a beautiful way to put it. No, you're right. You're holding space for yourself while you're going through it.
Yeah. And the more of us doing that, I mean, I'm all about the ripple, as you know, like that. Just that's what, you just can't underestimate you just doing that for yourself. That's huge. It's huge, isn't it? Like you can feel it now.
Yeah, I'm just staring at you, like not even here. I'm feeling it.
I know, like I get, like it's just, you can.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
By the way, I love your podcast name. At the start, I'm reading it, I'm like, it does what? The Ripple, the Rock. And then the more I said it, I'm like, the Ripple, the Rock. Yeah, I get it.
There's so many. It's interesting. I had another guy as well. He when I said the name to him, he hasn't been on the podcast, but he said something about it that I hadn't even thought of, and now I can't remember it. So that's a really pointless story. Great story. Something about like. Yeah, but anyway, it was good. It was I'll talk to him again and I'll remember and I'll tell you.
The hyper awareness today is like off the charts.
The hyper awareness?
The hyper awareness. We're so aware that we don't even remember what it was anymore.
I know. Well, that's we're just I don't know, bunging out on some hyper awareness.
Bunging out.
Right now. And anyone, if you're watching this right now, you are too, because otherwise you wouldn't have found this. So welcome to the club.
The Bung Club.
Oh, great. Where else can we go with this? Is there something that's like, because I know that before chatting to you, like I thought we're just going to chat and whatever flows through will flow through. Like, is there something that you feel called to talk about right now?
Oh, look, everything that I've already just mentioned, teaching our bodies, like seriously going back to the awareness, right? But not just being aware, like feeling those things in your body.
Yeah.
Because I think it's time, like, and I'm not saying this for everyone, but yes, a time has come for everyone to really look within and do the healing work. But on the other side of that, we need to remember, what are we creating then? Once we've healed the uglies, what do we want to cultivate?
Yeah.
What do we want to share? What energy do we want to walk around in the world out there? And I've programmed my car to do this energy thing when I turn the ignition on.
Oh.
And like I'm the center of that. Get in the car, turn it on. It's like
love that.
But then you go out in public and you have, awareness. You got to walk around in public and still be in that energy. You can't get off from your meditation mat or out of your car and then just go back to disconnect from that. So I think everyone practicing and carrying the beautiful energies our world needs that now. Yeah,
totally. When you were saying that, I was just imagining like us walking down the beach and just emanating that energy, because and you're right, because we have done a lot of this dive down the rabbit hole, dark, looking at going through the trenches, whatever the saying is, like looking at that not so sexy stuff, and then to come out the other side to, I guess, like Dale or Donovan will say, the hero's journey, and like walking now and going, okay, what do we want to create? Really, what do we want to create? And if you don't know, don't worry. Just like ask yourself, ask spirit, ask your inner self, your all-knowing self. What do I want to create? How do I? Because I feel like this is now like we're sort of taking off the shackles and we're going into a whole new space that we haven't been before. So, and it's still that birthing period, isn't it? Like where there's still bits and stuff flying, but okay, what are we going to do from here? And like we can ask the question, how good can it get? Like, and let's ask that question. I love that. Like, how good could it get? Show me how good this can get. Show me how good this can be. And then when we are in that energetic space, then we are attracting or we're emanating, the back and forth, vibrating that.
Yeah. And I think that's a really powerful way to be, isn't it? And it's scary though, because when you say you're the creator, it's like, well, shit, Nerita, you're the creator. What are you creating right now, just sitting here? Like, do you know what I mean? Like the emanating of that energy that you're talking about, that's so beautiful. And it's a scary place though for people to take responsibility and say, yeah, you know what, I am the creator. A lot of people don't feel comfortable with that.
Yeah. You just means a big one.
Because they don't want to be responsible for things that go wrong.
Yes. Yeah. And that, I think responsibility is a huge part of it. because if we're responsible for what we create, if we're responsible for how we show up in the world, like everything falls on us. And that can be a big pill to swallow for some people, because that means that everything comes back to that. It doesn't mean you won't be supported, but I think when that comes down to also learning to step into your power, and that's, I think, as a collective, that's what we're stepping into. But we've gone through this time to be able to step into our power, to be able to realize, yes, I am the creator. I can show up how I want to show up, and we'll be tested along the way. And I call it test.
Yeah.
Do you agree? Like, like you just go, oh, all right. Like, something will happen this week. I'm just like, okay, this is random, like, and you just go, am I being tested here? You tap into your intuition. Is this to go, all right, are you sure you want to do this? Kind of thing. But yeah, the responsibility thing is huge, and it's big, because, and that comes back to that podcast I was talking about, the victim, survivor, why do I always Savior, thank you. Yeah, the three things, and it's a cycle. So we need to step out of that cycle, take full responsibility for who we are, and get excited and empowered about this, and excited about what we can create. And if you can lean more into that, I mean, excitement and anxiousness can have the same feeling. So yes, feeling in our body. So like, let's go, okay, well, maybe I'm not anxious, maybe I'm excited about this, and flip it in our subconscious mind as well.
Oh, 100%. And I love that you brought that up, because that just came up a couple of weeks with another girlfriend, right? She was saying she was anxious. Like, are you anxious or are you excited? She goes, I don't fucking know. But you should know.
Yeah.
And it's the same with, when we're missing someone and we're like, oh, I'm in longing, I'm in yearning, I'm in separation. But sometimes missing someone actually means that your love energy is growing, but we interpret it as that we're missing, we're yearning, we're without them. And we always try and suppress it. Anyway, that's another thing. But
that's
I just wanted to say with what you were saying, people go and get healing sessions done, and they don't invest any time in integration.
Yeah.
And integration is really important, because tests come up for you during integration, because it's those tests that will actually help you integrate what you've learned, what you're healing. So I can't remember what I was saying now.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard the big truck that went past. I was like, I hope she can't hear that. But no, that's right. You have to integrate, because you can go and see a healer. That's awesome, and they can help you in that moment, and that's great. But you're still responsible for how you show up from there, and you will be presented with tests and things along the way, because that is then allowing you to see if the healing is working, and that you're doing the work. Like, it's so that's part of the process. Like I say to people, align with the frequency of your highest potential. Now, that might sound a bit wishy-washy to some, fine, doesn't matter. But what it actually is saying is, if you want to be all that you came here to be, you've got to, you will go see a healer, and then you will be presented with some crappy stuff, and you have to look at the shitty stuff as well, because you can't expand and grow without looking at those things that are holding you back, or just have been your blinders that you weren't even aware of. So it's not always sexy at all. Definitely not,
You know what, Nerida, if you ever find like a sexy recipe to doing this, all, like, you'll have to do a podcast on it and share it with us.
Get Sexy show with no, I don't know.
You were going to go there.
I was going to go there, wasn't I? It was. Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, because you can't, like, it isn't, is it? And that's why not everyone wants to do that. But, and again, that's showing, that's taking responsibility.
Yeah.
Because, like you were sort of saying, like, some people might just be addicted to going to see healers all the time, or getting readings and things like that. And I'm sure we've all been through those phases as well, but that's not doing the work. That's only part of the puzzle. Like, everything starts within. So that's where we need to to do it. And then, yeah, we will be shown, have these things come up, and we'll think, man, I just did this awesome healing. I feel amazing. Why is this shit just landed right in my face right now?
Yeah.
Oh, because you just did that healing, and now it's time for you to integrate.
Yeah. I think they just want healing, and then they come out and everything's perfect. The problems have gone, you know. And I guess that can happen, but that comes from them. It never really comes from the healer. It's their own integration that really anchors it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're all responsible for ourselves, which comes back to that as well too.
I'm going to actually look up the word responsible.
Yeah,
and
good one.
Break it down, right? Because especially for people that are tired, you know, they don't want any more responsibilities. But there's got to be a higher feeling to responsible and responsibility.
Yeah. I think when you find that, can you share that on your stories on Instagram or a post?
Yeah, I'll tag you.
We can all look at it. Yeah, please do. Speaking of which, how can people find you, by the way? I don't know how long I've been talking, but yeah.
I don't either. I don't have a phone.
It feels like 5 minutes, but I'm sure. Yeah.
Has it been an hour?
Has it?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. What time is that? Yeah, it probably has been an hour.
How can they reach me? So don't go on my website because it's still being worked on. I actually finally surrendered it and gave it to someone to do.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, but look, I'm pretty old school. My phone number is on the Vitreya page. My email address is on there. You can DM me on Instagram or private message me on Facebook as well.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
So you'll send me those links so I can pop them in the description. That'll be awesome. Yeah. Well, I have them anyway, but yeah, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess, I mean, this has been an awesome conversation. I know that we've covered a lot, and I really feel like awareness, and I'm so interested to see what comes in when you dive into the divine feeling of responsibility and what else comes up. You've definitely got me thinking about that now, or feeling about that, I should say.
I feel like there are codes.
Yes.
In the word responsibility. No, it's not responsible, it's responsibility. I feel like there are codes there. So I was listening to you talking, and I'm like, I could almost feel the codes coming in with that. So we'll see. I'm going to sit with that one.
Yeah. By the way, so everyone feels and taps into things differently. For you, do you get visuals or is it more feelings? Because I think some people might go, I wish I could see stuff, but they probably feel more. Maybe they get the goosebumps when they're on the right track. Like, what is it for you?
So it used to be just feeling for me, and knowing, feeling, knowing, feeling, knowing. And can I tell you, I don't know if I'm allowed to share this, but something happened in the last couple of months. And look, I've become quite visual in the last 3 years, right? So now it's like so psychedelic.
Wow.
Even in my waking day, like I can see the inner visuals happening with my eyes open, and it's quite distracting but beautiful at the same time. So now it's all of the above, and I have no attachment to any of them. But for those that are listening, you know, I used to be just feeling, and then that switched off, and then I started seeing, and then that switched off, and then I went to knowing, and so it goes round and round until eventually I think we're meant to just have it all.
Yeah.
Limitless.
We're limitless. We are. I'm into that. Far out.
What about you?
Yeah. For me, I definitely feel. I've always been a big feeler, and I do sometimes hear as well. Like, it'll just be like a little whisper, or and it's a knowing as well. Then it's just a knowing. Like, it's not. That's not a feeling. It's just a like. I just know I've got to do that. Like it's almost, you can't not, like you were talking about at the start. And visuals every now and then, but I don't feel like they've switched on fully yet, but I'd love more of that. Or would I? I don't know. Be careful.
Yeah, you would.
Like I've seen things I've seen things when there's been stuff that other people wouldn't see, like a thing walking through the wall type thing, but that's only been in a certain scenario, if you know what I mean. Well. So
that's one thing that, you know, out of all abilities and gifts coming online, like I really don't need to see dead people. Like I'll pass on that one.
Which is
go. No,
Hey?
Oh, I was just saying, my daughter, that's one of the things that she gets really excited about is, being able to communicate with dead people.
Yeah. And she does?
Yeah. Well, she doesn't want to be fully switched on yet. She just wants to be a normal teenager first.
Yeah. Fair call.
And I'm like, you know what? You'll get tapped on the shoulder and it'll be time when it's time. Yeah.
Yeah, you'll know. And that's the thing, like once it's on, it's on. Like I knew an incredible psychic, and she would walk through a house and see stuff coming out of the photo frames and stuff like it's never switched off,
Yeah.
And that's
Who's this?
Oh, just someone I know that isn't online and that sort of stuff. Yeah. So I always remember that story, because I was just like, imagine walking down a hallway and then just like, I don't, do you really want that? I don't know.
No, I don't. Seriously, I don't know why, but I just want the beautiful, shiny rainbow stuff. Don't get me wrong. I've been through the depths of the dark stuff as well.
Yeah.
And the underworld but yeah, I'll stay away from dead people, thanks.
Yeah. Well, what are we? We're all infinite anyway, so they're not really,
Are they dead?
Yeah, are they dead? Are we just dreaming? Like all those things. Anyway, we could go on and on, so we'll have to have another chat another day, that's for sure. So I just want to say thank you so much again for being here. You are just awesome. So for anyone, if you're listening and you're like, I just love this chick, she's awesome. Anna,
the way you
her
talk.
name. And Energy Workers at Gaia. There's all this different stuff that you can do. I'll pop her Instagram and her Facebook and her details in the description so you can connect with her there. Anna, thank you again for being here. Thank you for listening to the show or watching the show wherever you are. I'm so grateful that you're here. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks again, Anna.
Thanks, Nerida.